Previously, OG had some of the members of Berber, Patapim, some of the members of Yoinkanda on their roster, but they chose this roster for a reason. Is that a Doctor Strange Protect as I live and breathe?
That is so early as well, when there's still Magneto and other options up, leaning into some favorites potentially for 0% here, and immediately OG are like, okay then, I guess goodbye Magneto, take that off the board, and they could even protect that for a one-sided mag if they choose.
Yeah, pro gamer move. Pro gamer move. You guys don't get Magneto, and we do for one of the first times in EMEA. I think we had one yesterday where Magneto made it through.
Loki going to be taken out, not too surprising. That's at least going to remain quite standard. We have been seeing a lot of Strange, but that is so much due to the fact that so many of these other Vanguards are being banned away. 0% just with a little bit of a different targeting here, and Wolverine taken out as well. Wolverine insane into that Doctor Strange, preventing them from being taken away, but banning that away means OG are going to get one of the first Lunas in a while. Well,
I'm not going to say that I don't trust Line Pro.
Okay.
But this is a bit weird. it's a bit weird, fella. Well, it's going to be Luna on both sides for the first time in a while. I mean, I guess if you can make them use a ban on both Emma and Magneto, then you get the Luna. Is that the play? The ban on Captain America, though. There's going to be a lot of weight on Legacy's shoulders here. A Protect on Doctor Strange, who rarely catches a ban, is a big investment. Legacy needs to make good on being a Captain America carry.
With the Captain America being banned away by 0% against OG Seed, Hachiko is looking forward to Doctor Strange of their own, which they did not have to protect. It was just available to them, as it's not usually a target ban. So this is definitely some kind of preference-based situation. 0% are looking at a triple strategist composition, as Adam is at least being hovered here on Krakoa.
And Krakoa, we always start off on domination. This time it's going to be Krakoa, where our teams will wet their whistles for combat. Question is the Doctor Strange going to be hyper valuable? I haven't seen a Doctor Strange protected forever. He's a strong hero. Don't get me wrong. Often going to be, he's kind of the strongest of those who are left over, you know, after after the Magneto and the Emma get banned out. Makes sense that you would prioritize banning the Emma, though, and not the Magneto, given that Emma can just grab Doctor Strange through his shield and really put him in a more vulnerable position. Or, is this Arcane Order? Arcane Barrage? Hold up. Okay, well, this is going to get weird, and 0%, they might be channeling the spirit of Schmungus here to just make OG Seed confused and panicked.
And this, and remember, it's Schmuckers who did take OGC down to the lower bracket, early portal to take the more aggressive positioning, but it's high ground for OGC as they push forward with a Hawkeye, making the most of that Lunar Snow team up. Going to be looking for some lockdowns, which can prevent portals later in the game if you can hit the target.
Oh yeah, against the portal. Very valuable. Abu, who already grabbed. However, that extended cast with the rocket jump does mean it's easy to try and grab away the Wolverine. Still in a position where there's nothing to be done. Will fall down to Oniro's chaos control thereafter. Still, KQ is just freely spamming away with these arrows. The strongest Avenger continues their reign of terror.
Best win rate in the MCU is the Hawkeye. They are locked in here, able to take control, clean out the attackers, and 0% are forced to regroup and prepare for their second assault here.
Inspired by Craggy, and did manage to get one of the only frags of 0% in that fight. Still, if you do not account for KQ's position, he will destroy you. The Hunter Sight is almost ready as well, by the way. One of the fastest ultimates generated in the lobby. 6 also matching here. Very Season 0 looking composition from OGC, and seems to be working out pretty well so far. Dodging the incoming Wolverine leaps means that Abuhu will survive a while longer, but Hachiko not so lucky.
6 is on the flank, trying to get a turnaround, going in for a Goddess of Death with 2 people already taken down, but another Season 0 classic Legacy with the Sephirim barrier to completely block that away, and now it's just the chase, trying to get onto the Hela, who does the Soul Siphon. KQ is back, they get the pickups, and OG still keep control, getting the flip. They're on 38 compared to the 27 of 0%.
You're just on such a timer. Oh my goodness, KQ 8-0 right now with 6 final blood. Oh boy. When you're going up against a Hawkeye this good, you are on such a timer during your fights, because if you wait long enough, KQ is going to find one of those headshots and deliver a frag.
Is pushing in, looking for that early aggression, using that Scarlet Witch Doctor Strange team up. They have every ult to 0%, but it's almost every ult. Only seen this Isaya Makamoto from Hachiko in the backline. Wolverine going for the target, Media M to try and take out the Cloak and Dagger, but it is blocked out here, preventing that huge burst follow-up and allowing the healing. Wolverine with the last stand, but it's not enough for the finishing blow. KQ gets Frost Mountain, and finally that Magneto does fall.
Oh, a quick freeze coming through from that Lunar Snow team up. KQ falling low. Up comes the Invisible Boundary to keep that Hawkeye where they need to be. Greedy Nil stunned up, but the Invisible Boundary is just so much healing. It can't get it done. KQ is popping off on this Hawkeye. Oh, the Legolas cosplay, but I guess it's more of a Hawkeye cosplay in this case. OGC leverage the Hawkeye to unbelievable value.
Frost was able to touch the point. That will give a delay. Isidore is going to use the Hulk to jump in for the quick rollout. There's the Frost shot to try and poke him, and this is a slow down the approach, and that will be OGC taking round number 1 on Krakoa.
Okay, I wasn't a KQ head. I might be being converted. I am in the cultist camp right now. They are showing me the videos, and I'm nodding along faithfully. I'm starting to be a believer. 11 final hits, you know, 14-0. A boohoo, unfortunately. It is a bit of a boohoo moment as they are tanking a huge amount of the aggression coming through from the Wolverine. But you know what? That's a dutiful Vanguard right there. Don't worry. I shall lay down on the puddle so that you can cross unmarred.
And Hachiko has just been filling out everything else. We already talked about how Wolverine can be so good against the Doctor Strange, but Abu has been the one eating a lot of these shots. Looks like they are going to potentially be starting on the Hulk this time, sticking with those last second picks for a potential launch that Wolverine onto the point earlier. Go for that quick pickup.
I mean, admittedly, Hawkeye doesn't have that much in the way of survivability.
True.
Or escape when things start to go wrong. Maybe there's a world where you could be thrown on top of the Hawkeye and just grip him into your team. You know? Reality Erasure is available. Actually, no, they're playing for the Unbreakable Guard on the Reality Erasure. How could I have been so blind, Tetcher?
It's a big ability, but it needs to be protected on the setup. Any extra shielding is going to be huge, but with Magneto banned out, it is the Hulk they need to use. They now have the ability to throw the Wolverine, protect that Scarlet Witch, because they've held onto this ultimate for the entirety of last round, and now the beginning of this one. Here it comes, and there it goes.
Oh, yeah. A flash in the pan. The rarest of steaks. Some might call it raw. 0%. Both cooking and cooked. I imagine we'll maybe see Isidore swap here.
I think you are probably right.
Oh no,
Onero is going to be moving over to the Psylocke, deciding that the Scarlet Witch
if you're playing the Hulk.
Go for burst backline damage to try and take out the Hawkeye.
I'm kind of question mark emojis right now, Tetra. I'm not gonna lie to you.
They're trying to go for backline assassinations, but I do agree that having something else to combo for that extra burst damage could be huge. Wolverine tries to get onto Hachiko, but they will back away.
I need a screenshot of the hilarity of Wolverine requesting a throw, looking at the puny banner. You scientists, throw me!
Oh, what if they use the grenade bounce in a future team up? That'd be neat.
Yeet him over with the gamma nade. Now you're thinking. Now you're thinking like a scientist headshot.
Now you're thinking with Gamma. All right, they're going to be setting up right now, 0%. Looking for the opening. Frost Mountain has brought out the Winter Soldier to try and go for some quick pickups as well.
Oh boy, instantly dropping on down. The Unbreakable Guard from the Hulk is at just the perfect time, but Oniro's been caught elsewhere, coming through with the Meteor M, trying to shut down this Cloak and Dagger ultimate. It does actually keep them from moving onto the point with it, so 0% just do not have the sustainability on the objective where they need it the most. And guess what? Both Six and KQ still have everything they need to try and roll this one back. Missed their teleporter extrication, so it's just going to be a backpedal for now. A well-placed shot onto Oniro means KQ continues to dominate, and a turnaround maybe coming through with Valunas, though. Greedy Nils overwhelmed by the Kraken impact. Reaching that culling threshold puts them down below the Rubicon. Six from the back, though, has a nice angle. Oh, never mind. It's not actually a nice angle. Just forced to watch as the remainder of the team fight elsewhere. Name forced into cover by those Nastron Chrome mortars, raining down from above. But Legacy, that means that they are out of range of the strategist, and that there's no support to be given. Name wins out against Six. That's a little bit embarrassing. Thanks to our observers for getting a frag of their own in the midst of all this. And 0%, they're nowhere near the point. Do not let them cook.
That is going to be game number one, going to OGC. 0% swap to Spider-Man even to just get people onto that objective, but they weren't able to stay there, weren't able to hold, as OGC take the lead in this lower bracket. They are now one game away from moving on to those lower bracket quarterfinals.
Here you see that Galactic fan. You can get that right now from a 616 volt.
Nice.
Buy the costume.
Buy our stuff.
You could be like KQ and get that MVP. 21 and 114 final hits. 2.8k damage taken. Yeah, I think KQ's getting kicked from the team, honestly. That's feeding.
Exactly. Report for feed. But just look at these. Untouched, uncontested, in the backline, doing huge damage, and still in the massive throngs of people, finding the isolations, finding the pickups, and able to pick their targets when they need to. Frost Mountain had a lovely time trying to focus onto a Boohoo, but they just could not get past them.
Yeah, Abuhu just tanked all of the damage, unfortunately. There's a little bit of comedy to the sadness, unfortunately. We're like, well, he's doing his Iron Giant, you know. you stay, I go. Abuhu did manage to shut down a Nairo's ultimate as well for the ultimate sadness of the Scarlet Witch, even with the recently added overhealth to try and buff up reality. Erasure was not enough to try and stand up to the combined force of OGC. And you know what, OG? I might have been a hater, but I'm starting to believe.
They're starting to believe themselves. They take that game. They are now one game away from moving on in the bracket against a team with such pedigree as 0%, who need to find an adjustment. We had a more creative ban phase with these advanced draft formats with that Doctor Strange, so they could have that magic team up. But actually trying to force the ban onto the Scarlet Witch, perhaps that was the direction they chose to go.
It was a weird direction. It was an experimental direction. You know what? I'm never going to begrudge a team for trying to play the game in a new and different way, because that's how metas are discovered. But we're going to discover if 0% have a backup plan right after this break. Maybe there are a couple of green thumbs over at OG Tetcher, because this seed appears to be growing, and is it going to turn into fully fledged plant life flora before our eyes is the question. Currently on match point and avoiding elimination here in our lower bracket against 0%.
0% so far unable to take not just a game but a round versus OGC, as OGC took the clean 2-0 in that first setup. There was a little bit more of a creative draft from 0%. OG took advantage. They were able to, at the sacrifice, unfortunately, of Abu, they did get focused down quite a bit, were able to lock in and take full control.
I mean, yeah, Boo had a bit of a sad time, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to sacrifice for the greater good. Like he is the Atlas who's holding up the world of OG Siege, you know, just giving KQ all of that room. And you and I were like, we were chatting bans and like theories during the break. In my opinion, I wouldn't mind seeing OG Seed like Shrubby's their first protect on Luna. Like if KQ's that good on the Hawkeye with the Luna team up, like maybe you just first protect Luna. You let Mag and Emma go by the wayside, because then later on you still have Luna, and the enemy team might feel like I've got to invest one of my bans here on the Hawkeye, and at that point, like you're kind of winning draft, because that means something else slips through that KQ can play, and you still have Luna Snow, who's like the strategist, the big one.
There is obviously the risk of course, losing the Magneto and the Emma Frost, but they know that they can play an extremely effective Captain America. We know they can play a very good Doctor Strange. This isn't a huge limitation for OG Seed as we're heading into the next draft, and they are in fact so far not going to protect it. They are going to protect Magneto, and 0% say absolutely not. No, not again.
Yeah, they're going to pull the pro gamer move here, get Magneto for themselves. You're going to have a Magneto mirror match. Very rare here in EMEA. Usually it's for Emma mirror. Okay, for OG Seed. Now what do? Do we get rid of Legacy's Doctor Strange? Presumably Legacy is going to be the Magneto player as well. Is that just going down the classic route of getting rid of Loki and Luna, I imagine?
This would be the assumption, especially with 0% having Onero being their Captain America player, which is so far slipping through the ban phase. That counter Luna will be taken away. No Lokis, no Luna, sticking with the fact that they are statistically the most banned characters. Loki, before today's games, was banned 45 times, almost every single game, and Luna 42 times, just a little bit behind. And there is that Captain America Protect.
All right, both protects used on Vanguards here. 0%, making sure their options are open, but making sure that there is going to be no compatriots for Captain America in the back line. Previously, it was Jeff. Now it's Psylocke, who's usually going to be stomping around in the back with the captain themselves, but just going to make sure the captain feels a little bit more lonely back there.
Final protection here. Not going to protect their own Captain America by the looks of it. Looking at that Punisher that has slipped down. It was banned quite early last time by 0%. This time, OG Seed will just make sure it's not going to slip through at the end. It will be Storm, who is the final target.
Okay, maybe trying to deal with a preemptive either Jeff Nado or Storm boosted Punisher, given the protect that came through from OG Seed. 6 is a noted aimer, so no concerns about the Punisher coming through here. Both teams have themselves their Magnetos. Hopefully this time Abuhu's going to be able to play the game. We'll see if 0% allow for that after their Frost Mountain is kind of a bit of a Human Torch merchant, as far as I'm aware. Was kind of a Human Torch player before Human Torch got his buff, before it became permabanned, and has also been branching out into the Wolverine, so a lot of fear for the Vanguards.
We are heading to Midtown. This is the map where we started to see these massive containments, and we did see 0% at the early parts of this hover. This may just be for armor, but they were hovering onto the Penny and Rocket. They might be trying to go for this big containment at point number 1. Will OG Seed be able to deal with that, as it's not something they've had to go up against yet?
Hopefully OG have been watching the VODs of other teams dealing with it. Moon Knight and Squirrel Girl often seem to be common swaps for this first point hold. Just putting overwhelming damage into these small and contained areas.
That is a heck of a lockdown here. They've gone for the triple Vanguard, triple strategist with the Rocket, the Penny. They even brought Adam in case they do get cleaned out. Immediately OG, they do swap out. Squirrel Girl's coming out. The Moon Knight is coming out to try and just punish anyone in this room by sieging into it with maximum damage output.
Checking on your local hero shooter player. They may be having a little bit of a flashback, looking at 3 strategists and 3 vanguards here. KQ wraps around these doors. Still so difficult to try and dislodge players from this. 6 already almost has the Hand of Conjurer to roll on down. Nice cyber snaring web coming through onto that. Maybe trying to take out the Squirrel Girl. Oh, the accuracy's not there for Legacy. A little bit of a fumble, not gonna lie, but Hachiko still falls after the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier is deployed.
They've burned several minutes, though, already holding extremely effective. The first minute ticks down. Here comes the unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami, and that Fist of Khonshu. Onero will fall, but it's Moon Knight. Good news. They'll be right back. Not so lucky for Frost Mountain, though, who will get taken back and will have to either portal or use their legs like a plebe.
Oh, now man says it's time to go again right here. 6 already swapped over from the Iron Fist onto the Punisher. And so it's going to be able to lay down quite a bit of damage, but won't have quite the same level of ultimate generation that we expect from the Iron Fist. A quick snare to disengage here for the Penny Parker. It almost has for Spider Time, but might be more powerful while not using it, to be honest. Rolls around, starts knocking players up. Yep, Penny certainly ulting, and we can all see the impact before our very eyes.
charging in, trying to cut off this center area so that they can keep the hold of it, so that they can regroup once everyone is back. Focus onto Strange, who gets a big Maelstrom of Madness, doing massive damage output. Isidon is barely up. Cosmic Yard Amplifier for yet another hold as KQ is in the backline. Ayamagamoto onto the backline, and that is enough to wipe out the Cloak and Dagger. But they are brought back with the calming revival of Oniro, and 0%. They are taking this push into a crawl. We're already down to 2 minutes.
The name of a game for 0% is not to win, but just to lose slowly. Kill me all you want, I've already won. Legacy takes down Greedy Nils. Even though it wasn't to shut down the Eternal Bond, at least it was charged up by Six's ultimate themselves. No, maybe this is a little bit too much compared to what's needed, but hey, 0%, they're gonna hold strong now, and guess what? It's back up to our little bunker.
We're back in the room again. Unfortunate for the Doctor, as Frost Mountain is going to be creeping forward for the zone. KQ has been getting some great sieges. We have Meteor M almost at the ready, but other ultimates closest to 65% now for KQ on that Supernova, whereas 0%, they are almost at their own Eye of Agamotto and Cosmic Yard Amplifier.
Abuhu ready to shut something down with a Meteor M, but Bard, a moment's notice, could use it to try and peel for an Eye of Agamotto. Watching those duelists flee away, the strategists get behind the shield. Great mid-air interception coming through from Frost Mountain, coming out on the Doctor Strange. Not the usual pick. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier already gone, by the way. Frost Mountain into the back, gets one. It's on to 6. The shields are arrayed. The Testudo formation has raised the banners and say, you shall not claim our Punisher. And here we go, another big penny ultimate. The value is immense.
Oniro is going to get focused down here, wants to try and stay up, and they do have that cocoon. Isidore was taken out, but it's brought back at the BRB. Oniro is taken out, brought back with their own cocoon. 0% are just so sticky, hard to take down. Finally, Light Pro falls, Name's taken out, and it's the final judgment that may prove to be the opening factor, the opening door. It's all about delays down. Frost Mountain, the person who could have got them back to the point fast, was the latest to fall, meaning 0%, they are going to lose this point number 1 unless someone can rush on in.
Don't think it's going to be the case. Seems like it's going to be a completion here. But you know what? So much time was burned. I believe that was an overtime take. 2.5 minutes on the clock for second, and second's even harder to take than first. These get progressively more difficult to try and break through. You can see that Hazako is raising up the shield here to try and make sure those Vanguards who are deeper in cannot receive any heals from the strategist laying behind. Into the back goes Greedy Nils. That's a huge Terror Cape, by the way. Unreal value. Oniro ready to move on forward with the resurrections. Plenty of players stunned. Name is going to be the primary target. Isidore's going to come on through later. Oh yes, another penny. Spider Time is ready to go, and now everyone quakes in fear as Spider Time is declared.
This clock is clearly broken. These are too many Spider Times as Isidore rushing through the Supernova to give their team some space so that they can back up out of it. But Invisible Boundary is holding the line. Oniro is taken down once again. No cocoon this time. That Invisible Boundary keeping OG Seed in this fight. Abu takes out Name, and once again 0% are ticking down bit by bit. But with 1.5 minutes left, they're portaling back in for hold number, what is this, 6?
Fight number 6, baby. Going into a secret house here with the portal. Wake up, babe. New bunker just dropped. Gonna roll out and try and touch that card to stop it moving. The mission areas once again stalled, and 6 is gonna try and get it moving again. The Legacy, oh, the double onto both Lapsus and Greedy Nils decided not to try and shut down the Punisher. Instead, utilize the damage coming through from that duelist to punish the strategists who were cowering elsewhere. Heads up, play by Legacy.
And that is going to be 0% cleaning out OG Seed. And that means, guess what? It's setup time. Time to place more mines. Time to place more bionic spider nests. Time to send out cyberweb snares to slow this push. With 40 seconds remaining, 0% are creating attrition for OG Seed to try and push through. But with Wolverine, they're going to try and break it.
Disengaging, slowly giving away that space, trading resources for time on cart. In comes the Eye of Agamotto. It stuns 3. Isidore, Oniro, and Name all fall. Oh, the follow-up is so immense. And now Isidore's going to have to try and make it work with very little healing available. Line Pro sitting at the top, sending out those repair mode balls, but just does not have the throughput to keep these Vanguards up.
They are all taken down at about the same time, though. We're only halfway through point number 2 as they're making their way through overtime, meaning that once again, 0% are going to have an opportunity to hold. But great play by Hachiko has decided to try and buy a little bit more time by closing out 2 of the entrances for the objective, forcing 0% to wrap around, meaning they can't set up here. They're trying to rush in, but the culling turret, the zoning from the Vanguards, and it will be a dive with the Eye of Agamotto to try and hold the point. As the card is stopped, it's less than a meter away, but it's gonna be 0% getting pushed down, but the Comic Rival is bringing them all back with the last stand to clean them out, though, and it's starting to become a numbers game for OGC as they push on through with the final judgment, cleaning them out here.
All 3 players stunned by the Eye of Agamotto. The follow-up's not quite there, but KQ was just looking elsewhere, prioritizing Frost Mountain, getting rid of the meaty sorcerer who wants to plant themselves upon the car. And you pointed out the culling turret in conjunction with that teleport gave over so much space that then we saw 0% having to scramble to get onto the objective when they're weakest when they're commuting. They want to be sitting in one place and just saying, no, can't frag us.
0% have finally swapped off of this 3-3 lineup. They've brought out the Punisher, they've brought out the Wolverine, they have gone for a classic Captain America Magneto setup. They're going to try and take this fight a little bit more standard there. Iron Bulwark to protect against the Wolverine, who tried to go for an isolation.
Frost Mountain eating a bunch of poke here, but we need to try and fight early. This is what 0%'s composition has been all about, just losing slowly in many cases. Isidore already falling, but straight down onto Hachiko. Great value from Frost Mountain. Out comes the Meteor M, down onto the strategist, perhaps a quick fade away with the cloak, and unfortunately only meaty targets remain upon whom you cannot find a one-hit KO. Oniro on the other side is quickly broken down by the berserk claws of their enemy. Abuhu has the final stand. The push was just in time from Line Pro. Unreal timing. 1 HP, flees away. The right-click dash is just what you need to find the final hit when it was most necessary.
0% are ticking down 1 by 1, but they still have cap. They can still delay for at least a little bit to allow the team to respawn, but OG Seed are creeping in towards a triple final judgment for Oniro to give them any chance at a wipe here to hold this point as once again for the 3rd time overtime is ticking down, and once again OG Seed are holding as they trade 1 for 1. 0% with their last ditch effort to find any opening.
The shotgun's out, so too is the Eye of Agamotto. Line Pro's gonna fall after having soul rended from body, and well, they're gonna be paddling down for River Styx by courtesy of 6 at the end of this. Oniro the next to go on down. Hachiko moved on forward, but was delivered to the back line by Frost Mountain and delivered into the Eternal Bond as well. And bonded to the cart, bonded to the concept of victory. OG Seed refused to wilt in the sun, and the Wasteland will not claim this plant. They're the oasis in the desert.
OG Seed claim the triple in overtime, meaning 0% have to push all the way. They have maximized their time effectively. The question is, can they maximize their distance now that they are on attack?
A breath, a time to recollect. 0% facing elimination at the hands of OG Seed here. Line Pro's competitive history made it surprising that he was in this position to even begin with, but to be here against OG Seed is even more uncanny. But if there's anyone who can rally the troops, keep the mental on the straight and the narrow, and inspire a team to victory, it's Uncle Line Pro.
They've got the experience. Now they just need to get the wins under their belt. 0% are already prepared for a potential lock-in. They know that they have to get all 3, so they're expecting OG Seed to go for a similar strategy, to go for the spawn trap, essentially. But there is just a standard composition waiting outside for them here. Doctor Strange, Magneto, the classic Season 0 pioneered by Asia frontline. We have the Punisher. We have the triple strategist to support the Punisher. They're just going for all in on absorbing damage and dropping some of their own.
An absolutely overwhelming level of damage. 0% likely to soon see that they are actually playing into a 3-2-1, so probably won't stay on 5 strategists for too long. They are actually moving this car However, KQ easily can track down Isidore. You can't really keep up with the amount of damage that will get pumped out by a single duelist Punisher, by the way, with only a Mantis. And that's why we see players playing literally inside the spawn. Already, out comes Legacy's ultimate. The hand of Khonshu doesn't grab that much. We even see Abuhu just rolling through it without a care in the world. Don't care, didn't ask. Elgod, very weak.
And 0% now going to start to move back. They will begin to swap onto... Linepro's still going. I think he went to hero swap, but he didn't deactivate his shift, meaning he will actually start further back in the spawn.
Didn't fix the braking problem, unfortunately. It happens, but still without a Vanguard, by the way, so 0%. They might have a little bit of trouble holding the space. They're just going to rely on overwhelming damage coming through from Frost Mountain here. With the Storm of the Century, Lapsus is, of course, going to raise up the Invisible Boundary to try and deal with this. Maybe you could try and isolate 6 birds on into the Invisible Boundary to have all that staying power, and Frost Mountain is punished for the audacity to ultimate into OG Seed.
Problem is, though, there is no Vanguards, there is no beefiness. While they were able to snipe onto the backline, it is 0% who are just too squishy to hold. They burn their ultimates, and now it's back to a standard composition. Back to the Strange, back to the Magneto, and they're even getting Wolverine for some isolation. They are down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds as they have already reached ambulance. This is absolutely doable.
A big feral leap could be everything, but it's going to be the final judgment to begin with right here. Maybe you could try and take down this Dr. Strange. There's good peeling coming through for the opposing Punisher. The magnetic curtain again and again is risen on up. KQ has to back out of the invisible boundary and can no longer see their targets, so the damage can't be delivered. But Frost Mountain elsewhere was noted. Look at this, trying to block off the healing coming through onto Abuhu, but it seems like Abuhu's just playing their own bubbles to try and survive. Legacy Shield won't last against these mortars. The Nestrond Crows tear on through it, and then 6 can just float magnanimously over their territory.
1.5 minutes remaining, 0%. They do have the Strange, so they have the potential to try and portal in if needed. And with Aya Wakamoto already charged up, Legacy is leading the charge. They are running low on time, though, as they're trying to creep into this last point. Hachiko on the flank with their own Aya Wakamoto. They have Media M, they have Invisible Boundary. Their defensive abilities are much more available. Media M to try and protect Hachiko, and it will absorb enough damage to let them get out.
Good peeling coming through from Abuhu, but that's one less tool in the box to try and deal with something like the Eternal Bond. Nice push coming through. The Eye of Agamotto claims revenge, and Naira actually gets fragged by the impact itself. Magic and majesty are too much for a simple guy like Frank Castle. He just likes AR-15s.
He's just trying his best, and yet he has to face against wizards. He has to face against a goddess of death. He has to face against a woman with invisibility powers and 2 people who are eternally bound, and it's already charged up, ready for the next push.
Okay, 6 falling low. Should be able to get to safety fairly quickly. Eternal Bond moving on forward. Out comes the Eye of Agamotto, and the peel is coming out straight away. Isidore didn't get anything off the Meteor M. Up against the Punisher ultimates. It's not ideal, and Oniro's already fallen in their own right as well. That's gonna not be too much to be grabbed here. Frost Mountain trying to make it work. Up against the Vanguard's percentage-based damage will tear through the Doctor Strange, but KQ's having to give up the space. A big Terror Cape takes away the HP of Doctor Strange, and at the moment is simply playing for survivability. There's not going to be a last point touch, and 0% ignites their tournament lives once more.
0% with 0 time, but they push on in, claiming the point. Wolverine does get taken down as they try to push up to claim the stairs, as Abu is still sending in some insane damage. Abu trying to get on to 6, who will drop that Goddess of Death, even though their team is down. Focus pulled out of the ultimate and will get sniped on the retreat by Legacy.
The Goddess of Death actually baited in the remainder of OG Seed as well, so they too could get staggered. 5 players up at the moment, but they're all on this fighting retreat. This rear guard, if they lose Hachiko, it could be disastrous. The Metallic Orton is brought on up. Isidore and Legacy see a potential to move on forward. A final judgment in the middle of all of this. KQ's feeling invincible, surrounded by all of these Vanguards, and Line Pro falls down to the overwhelming damage of Franklin Castle. OG Seed with the bait and switch.
OG Seed hold one more time. With 1 minute and 30 seconds left, they do not have a similar comp to 0%, so they're not going to try and set up a load of traps here. It is all about holding the doorway and keeping 0% away from this cart. Invincible Boundary, Aya Wakamoto, Meteor M, all charged up. 0% though, Final Judgment. If they can time this and use that Iron Bulwark to protect Oniro from Amuhu with that Meteor M, they might be able to create themselves an opening.
Line Pro needs to hit the push here. The force physics. Oh, the bubble came through at just the right time. Immune to the knockback. Line Pro can't survive, and that means there's no healing for Oniro, who just instantly was evaporated upon popping their ultimate. It's looking so bad for 0% right now. They got 3 ultimates and a Hail Mary, a dream to try and survive.
Less than a minute to go. They lost that final judgment here. They are in serious trouble. On the bright side though, OG Seed are ultless here. 60% on final judgment is all they have. 0%, they do have the economy. They're going to try and use it. Opening with an eternal bond as they push on in isolation onto Amuhu, taking them out. And they've created the opening that they might need with the last stand into the backline. But it's not enough. Frost Mountain does fall.
Too far in the end. Frost Mountain now not going to be able to punish these Vanguards. Hachiko's feeling a little bit more freedom to try and make this work, but of course, you're constantly wary of that Aya Wakamoto in the back pocket of Legacy. They could also make some portal shenanigans, but I don't know if they got the time to try and make it on work. Hachiko's already half. KQ going to roll on forward with the final judgment. You better believe that shield is absolutely destroyed from Legacy right now. The Meteor M from Isidore, I didn't see it get anything, even with all the charge that was given over. Lapsis has their soul taken from their body and consigned to the hells below. Ups to hell as well. Go 6 laying down the strong crows. Hachiko gets the value from the ultimate. The metallic bulwark will only last but a moment, as 6 will have to try and contend with the tide all by themselves. Flying away towards the health pack. They're going to be in a 1v1 versus Frost Mountain, but a well-placed Feral Leap can complicate matters. Lapsus to return on the Jeff. It was the fastest option that was available, and the bubbles make everyone faster. OGC have done it. They stop 0%.
Overtime's ticking down. Oniro tries to rush in with Starlord, but they can't reach. It is OGC who take the 3-1 on the map, the 2-0 in the series. OGC are moving on in the bracket to play against All Business. What an incredible performance. That's an MVP, Jeff.
Unreal. Hey, Lapsus earns the Jeff MVP with a swap at the end, just speed boosting everybody back. Good heads up play. Great micro understanding of how to play that fight from Lapsus. Big credit to them. OG Seed, I mean, I didn't know they had this in them. This is crazy from them. 6 and KQ, by the way, had absolute lights out performances. 51k damage from KQ.
20 final hits for 6, 24 for KQ. KQ easily going to be one of the standout players that is going to come onto everyone's radar after what is a fantastic performance. But 6 on the Punisher, on the Hela, was just finding every target they needed.
Unreal stuff. Legacy, look at that. That was a massive ultimate. Unfortunately, in the end, it felt like we weren't getting quite as much out of the Meteor M's from 0% across like maybe 3 or 4 players who played it as we got from that initial 2K. The shutdowns on the Punisher final judgments weren't quite there. Admittedly, that was because there was great homework being done by OGC. The phalanx of shields that would always be generated around Frank Castle when it was at its most vulnerable and at its most dangerous was something that could constantly be relied on for KQ to make audacious plays happen.
And this has got to be a record for the most amount of overtimes we have seen in a single game as well. If 0% had made it to that last point, I have no doubt we would have hit overtime once again. But the fact is, somehow OGC faced that bulwark of a composition on points 1 and 2 and were able to break it to get to these 3 points, to give themselves this opportunity to hold in their own way, to break through 0% with perfect Aya Wakamotos from Hachiko. They set themselves up and they deserve this win.
Oh, this is an absolute heartbreaker for Line Pro and the boys. Look at that. The bubble coming out onto KQ from the Magneto to make sure that they were protected from the incoming damage of the Meteor M. Just so well protected, and that allowed for KQ to really leverage their mechanical skill and drop a 60-5 scoreline. Unreal.
Absolutely incredible. We will be saying, in that case, goodbye to 0% for this stage, as they will be taken down. OG Seed, their next opponents will be All Business. No pressure. All Business, one of the invited teams for this tournament, have had some great tournament performances. They were knocked down to the lower bracket here by Zero Tenacity in those upper bracket semi-finals, who have been on a tear so far.
Yeah, like it's been there have been some tears happening in that upper bracket, and it's been wonderful to watch how some of our talent is marinating, you know, here in EMEA. We used to be a one-team region. We used to be VP on top of nothing. Now it's anybody's game. EMEA might be the most watchable region right now. I'm just saying, like, it's anybody could come away with a #1 here. There's no longer a clear favorite unless you want to say it's Rad, in which case you wouldn't be wrong, because hey, if they can beat VP 2-0, who can't they beat?
By transference of properties, now Rad have a 24-0 win rate. That's just how it works.
25-0.
But yeah, you talked about it. We don't know now. We have this lower bracket. OG Seed, they are now pulling up through this lower bracket. We don't know who these last 4 teams are going to be in the playoffs, which are still coming up. We've still got to go through more games where these teams have had more time to learn the maps, the new character, this new patch, these new metas to try and fight their way in for those mid-season final spots. And OG are trying to make a statement that they are going to try and get there.
Yeah, it's days and days of Marvel Rivals Esports content that we're going to get through. They're all going to be happy to watch. Let's have a look at how our bracket has shaped up after 0% have been eliminated, unfortunately, from Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 1. As you pointed out earlier, All Business is the next hurdle that OG Seed have to get past, and they're probably going to be happy to want to dodge Schmungus down here, who were a little bit troublesome last time around.
They did not have the tools to deal with Schmungus, but they did have the tools for 0%. Do they have the tools for All Business? As you can see at the top of the bracket, Berber Patapim and Zero Tenacity are sitting there already qualified, meaning that these lower bracket quarterfinals, All Business and OG Seed, are now 1 win away from joining those teams at the top of the bracket. That's going to be a lot of tension.
Oh, it's going to be a heart beating out of her chest. I mean, for OG, there's so many expectations as well, right? Like, this is a big name to have behind you. OG are a storied org, and when we went 0-2 versus Schmungus, we were like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go when you get 0-2'd by the scrims. Maybe it was first big game nerves. Maybe in the day of scrims since, OG have, like, losses teach you a lot more than wins, right? Like, you find out where your weaknesses are, what adaptations you need to make, and how you're being exploited. And maybe OG just needed that loss to be like, okay, so this is how we're going to be playing at the top level, and this is where we're probably going to fall over here and there, so we're going to tighten up those. And honestly, we saw some very well choreographed plays today, particularly with those Magneto bubbles. A boohoo, like, I gave him a bit of a boohoo for, like, kind of getting bullied on my first map for the rest of the team to pop off, but bubble usage has been kind of sublime when it comes to using that metallic bulwark to facilitate plays like Hachiko going for an Eye of Agamotto up the top rope.
To quote a very famous character in a very famous movie series that some of you may have seen from Marvel, if we're going to win this fight, some of us may have to lose it. And Abu took that on their shoulders and just said, you know what, I'm going to be targeted. If I get my bubbles off, then job is done. With those flanks to protect their team, with those Eye of Agamottos when needed from Hachiko, this is OG Seed showing that they are here to play. And I'm hoping we will get an interview because I have so many questions. But the fact is, they are moving on. And we do, in fact, have an interview with Hachiko. So we are going to get to ask those questions. Hachiko, for starters, congratulations on that win. You are moving on in the lower bracket.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Yeah, definitely way better showing than last week. So yeah, definitely was a rough start for us last week, but yeah, definitely a learning experience, and I think there was definitely a lot of nerves last week as well, but I think everyone was just locked in today, and yeah, everyone showed up.
Definitely seemed locked in. I want to get your thoughts on what the team was feeling in the draft for Krakoa. Like, how did you feel when you saw the Doctor Strange Protect come out from 0%? Was that expected? Did you have a good plan to deal with that, or you're like, okay, well, I guess we just get Mag?
Yeah, it was something we definitely expected because we know Legacy, he likes to play Emma and Strange. That's like his main two characters. So going into it, we definitely wanted to ban Emma. And Strange is something that we definitely could deal with, right? We have Invis Pole and stuff like that to deal with it. So that wasn't something we were too worried about going into it. It's mainly Emma. We just wanted to get out.
So let's talk about you as a team, because you are coming in with a lot of expectations on you with the name OG behind you, but a lot of your players, people will want to know who they are. So could you talk about how the team was put together?
Yeah, so 3 of us, we were like the core from our previous team, Earl Grey Tea. We got top 60 in MRC. It was kind of put together last minute since none of us had a team, and we formed it. And then yeah, when it was over, we did want to stay together, but unfortunately 3 of the players didn't really feel like playing the game anymore. So so then we had to find 3 new players, and we ended up with Abu, KQ, and Lapsy. So and they've all like been playing on other teams before. I've seen them there, and yeah, we were just a good match. So so that's why we went with them. I've also seen them around in ranked, right, in the top 500 lobbies and stuff. So yeah.
How did the shacking up with OG happen for this roster? Did they reach out to you? Did your backroom staff have a connect?
Yeah, so they actually they reached out to us actually whilst we were looking for an org going into well, either MRC/MRI, right, before MRI was actually announced. They reached out to us, and so yeah, it was just it went smoothly from there.
So let's jump back into some game talk here. In game number 2, 0% decided that it was trying and lock you on that first point. This is a draft that really has started emerging in EMEA. Had you been watching the previous games to come expecting that?
Both yes and no. I mean, we were watching. We haven't really been scrimming 0% a lot ever since the new season started. We scrimmed them before, so we only really had this game against Patipim that they played to go out from, and yeah, really nothing more than that. So that's all we had to build from, right? So we were just watching the games back, seeing what they like to play, seeing what they didn't like to play against, and stuff like that, and then really just making the comp around that and trying to yeah, make the best situation out of it.
And to cast your mind back to Thursday's game versus Schmungus, beside like nerves, was there anything else that went wrong that you were able to kind of tighten up going into today's game?
Well, I think obviously it was the nerves for everyone. It was everyone's, like, I guess, big first game on the stream and stuff like that, right? And apart from that, they also played a really weird comp that we've never played against before. So I think that also had like a say into it. Obviously, on paper, we should win those when they're just playing stuff like that. But I think people maybe got overwhelmed with not knowing what to do against that comp. We've never played against it before. And then on top of that, yeah, just the nerves. So going into this, we just went in just zero expectations and just wanted to give it all. Because I say, like, the worst thing already happened, right? We lost the content creators, right? So it can't be worse than that.
True.
So you guys are now 1 series away from qualifying if you can beat out All Business. All Business are the only team that won in the first round games, while also losing a map versus Lone 9. Is there any particular, without obviously giving away any strategies, any particular preparation you are doing against All Business? And is there any warning or call out you'd like to do for them? And anything you'd like to say about your opponents from this match?
I think obviously great a bunch of players over in All Business. I think they're a good team. So we just gotta, you know, give it all this week, figure out what we actually want to do against them. We haven't been scrimming them a lot either. So again, we just have to watch their games back, see what they like to play, and figure out from there. So yeah.
I'll give you an opportunity to get some brownie points with your own friends right here as well. Do you have a particular MVP from your roster for their performance today against 0%?
I mean, I gotta call out Abu, right? Giving me the bubbles when I went for the strange holds, right? Surely that has to go from him, so I could, so I wasn't booped away by Invis every single time. So probably Abu, but I mean, everyone played amazing. I think obviously a team effort. KQ had some big ults as well as Six, and support ults also perfectly timed. So I think everyone was just on top of the game today.
You mentioned who you have not been scrimming against. Would you be able to reveal to us who you have been scrimming against? Who's been helping you build up to this level?
I mean, we've been scrimming actually against Insomnia quite a lot. We've been scrimming against them. Also, Yon Kanda, Saracen ST, and a bunch of other teams. But yeah, those are at least some of the teams I'd say we've scrimmed against the most.
Awesome. Well, it was fantastic seeing OGC really hit their stride with you at the helm, Hachiko. Thank you for joining us for an interview, and congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
The one and only Hachiko from